I find out this morning that Steven Crowder has made a video accusing me of extortion.
I'm on team Candace on this one.
Proverbial boot on the neck. He's literally George Floyd. How do you not see that he is so obviously acting and that he is a very bad actor?
Yes.
Do you feel bad for him?
Yes, Candace.
He even sent me a retrospectively very flirty message thereafter on Instagram about how nice I look. I logged on to Instagram and I found Hillary Crowder's Instagram account. It's a broken man who is on some sort of a spiral. It is likely his divorce that led to this moment. I contacted a defamation lawyer and I am sending Steven Crowder a cease and desist.
This is what happens when a black woman cooks, okay? I'm telling you. Steven Crowder is a monster. Changed my mind. Obviously, there is another claim that we were looking at earlier. And that is the claim that Steven Crowder made. What was it he said that Candace Owens did? Extortion. Was it extortion? So let's get back on the Candace Owens, Steven Crowder beef. So Steven Crowder has alleged or said that he believes that Candace Owens engaged in extortion. Now, I had a little look into this, and the only thing that I could find was the clip that he played a portion of in his own video, where she basically alluded to something but didn't explicitly state what it was. So this is the clip. If there's more, I'll watch it, but this is the fullest clip I could find where she addresses this. I couldn't find the original video either. So you notice at the time as well, so this is from January 23rd, you notice as well, Daily Wire host Candace Owens makes ominous remarks about being given certain information regarding Steven Crowder. I mean, if it was clear that it was a divorce, this Jason Campbell guy would be all over it, like white on rice, because that would be an absolutely crazy thing to break. So I just don't think there was enough here to really suggest that he was getting divorced in any meaningful way.
Over the weekend, I was given a lot more information regarding Steven Crowder, a lot more background information regarding what could have possibly led to this moment. And not to my surprise at all, obviously, this really doesn't have anything to do with the Daily Wire. And his actions are a symptom of something much larger. And I want to choose my words very carefully here because I'm not angry anymore. Steven has a lot going on. I guess is the best way to say it. He has a lot going on, and that should be clear because people don't do stuff like this if there's not a lot going on in their lives. You don't sell out your friend. You don't record conversations. These things are actions of individuals that are perhaps acting out of desperation. You have to dig deeper. You have to look deeper to fully understand the picture of why somebody might do that. And it's certainly not because somebody is upset with a $50 million contract. And because I now am more aware of certain information, rather than being angry, I would like to implore my audience and everybody that isn't paying attention to this situation not to condemn him, but to pray for him. Sometimes people need a prayer. Sometimes people need a scripture. You know, Steven purports to be a Christian, and I believe that he needs to lean into his faith. And I am certain that in the near future, more information will come out. I do not think it is my place to say more than that. Well, probably what I should say is I am unsure at this moment if it is my place to say more than that. You know, maybe if I feel in further defense, some things should be said, or maybe if I feel that the public has a right to understand certain circumstances. But at this moment, I think I would just like to carefully back out.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's understandable that he'd be mad about this, but extortion? Unless there's something else which we're not seeing, you know, which we're not privy to. This is the only clip that I know of Candace Owens referencing this. So if there's something else, I'll happily review it and watch it. I read a couple of articles about their beef and I couldn't find any reference to anything else. This is, to my knowledge, the only clip of Candace Owens alluding to or talking about this divorce. So I'm a bit like, well, what? That's the fuller clip as well. There's nothing explicit enough here whatsoever. This is what I'm saying is he's doing the victim Andy stuff. Because there's nothing here of her threatening to even release more or anything like that. It was quite clear that what she was saying was you know, maybe like if Steven Crowder, you know, did something wild or out of pocket, maybe there might be more information. But even that was quite implicit as well. There was nothing like explicit in what she said or saying she was going to leak something or saying anything really. And bear in mind as well, again, at the time, there was nothing explicit enough for anyone because nobody at the time was talking about the idea that Steven Crowder was getting divorced off the back of this. Like this guy didn't pick up on it. Yeah. It was all people just talking about infighting. I can't imagine that anyone...
Over the weekend, I was given a lot...
I can't imagine that anyone meaningfully understood that this was meant to be divorce. So, yeah. Honestly, kind of cringe. Kind of cringe from Crowder. But we've got a Candace Owens response, which we'll look at in a sec. So Owen Benjamin, in fairness, has been tweeting about this, apparently. I know me mocking Crowder's divorce is triggering a lot of emotions in divorced people like I'm attacking them. Trauma is resurfacing. Crowder is a public figure who humiliated people with a false moral high ground. The separation isn't recent. It didn't just happen, and I'm not kicking a man when he's down. Watching Christian conservatives normalise and defend divorce is a problem, and I will use my platform to push the Overton window. You are not Crowder, I'm not attacking you. You don't record private calls to negotiate multi-million-dollar deals so you can browbeat college students with depression for money. It's not about you. Jesus, man. Owen Benjamin is not holding back, is he? Fuck me. He is an absolute loose cannon, it's got to be said. Right. Candace Owens actually responded to Steven Crowder on Twitter, first of all. Steven Crowder accusing me of extortion is so patently insane that it honestly makes me question how there are still people who cannot see how thoroughly undone he has become. This is not stable behaviour. He is a man on a spiral. Outright bizarre and concerning. If you are going to use your children as human shields to block people from digging further into your divorce, please do so without inserting me into the narrative. To remind people, the video Steven used in his show of me was a video of me responding to Steven's first set of bizarre attacks against the Daily Wire. Okay, I've got to say, I'm on team fucking Candace on this one, okay? I'm on team Candace on this one. Steven is not the victim. He never was the victim. He's just a bad person who continues to burn a lot of people. I completely agree with Candace here. I think that Steven has been a little bitch with all this fucking, oh, I'm getting extorted. It's complete bullshit and a distraction because people are digging into his divorce. Suck it up, big boy. Okay? Suck it up. I think that Candace is bang on the money here. And the fact that he's using his children is pretty grotesque to me. The idea that he's there going, oh, but my kids, what about my kids? They're going to, like, tell me how they're going to get hurt by people looking at your divorce. They're not. It's bullshit. It's cope. It's because it's embarrassing for you. You don't like it. You don't like people looking at it and talking about it. So, you know, I think Candace is on the money here. And I think Steven Crowder is, you know, trying to obfuscate with his attacks on Candace. So I think Candace is pretty righteous in all of this. Anyway, she's got a bunch of tweets. I don't want to go over all of them. Let's just watch one of her videos about this. Steven Crowder accused me of extortion.
You know, I don't even have a question of the day for you guys today. I just feel like in the last 24 hours, things have just gone absolutely insane, right? Is it just me, or does it just seem like somebody pressed a button and the world has just gone, ah! First and foremost, we find out about Tucker Carlson. We're all shocked. We spoke about that a little bit yesterday. I'm going to talk a little bit more about that today. And then right on the heels, and unfortunately for him, it was after Tucker Carlson, we learned that Don Lemon is out at CNN. And I definitely want to talk about that because a lot of us are laughing, but we shouldn't be. There's a cautionary tale there. And just as if that was not crazy enough, as if it couldn't have gotten any crazier, I find out this morning that Steven Crowder has made a video accusing me of extortion. It's unbelievable. I'm going to show it to you guys. It's actually unbelievable. And I fully believe this is a man that is on such a spiral. It is just shocking to me that any person cannot see exactly what he is right now. Lots to say about that. All of it and more today coming up on Candace Owens.
Ooh. Well, look at the editor. Ooh, look at the editing of that. Okay, I got to be honest with you, right? Candace, I've got to be honest with you, okay? Candace has got an uphill battle here because she's a black woman, okay? And those are two things that straight away are going to be putting off Steven Crowder's audience to listening to this person, all right?
So I gave you guys my thoughts briefly yesterday regarding Tucker Carlson being out at Fox News. A lot of people are sharing personal stories about him and how great he is behind the scenes. I could add to that, but I also feel like I don't want to eulogize. I mean, Tucker Carlson is not...
Okay, I don't want to watch this. Sorry, I thought it was literally just about the thing. Sorry.
So first up, let's talk about Steven Crowder. A lot of you guys have probably seen his...
Wait, hip-hop style editing. That's a curious comment you made. What does that mean?
Live stream this morning where he brings me up. So we're going to have to respond to that, obviously, because he makes some pretty heavy implications and insinuations in his video that are so patently false that it's shocking to me that a man with his following would be stupid enough to put this onto a platform. So let's first back this up in case you don't know who Steven Crowder is. It's totally plausible. He sort of lives on the internet. Steven Crowder is somebody who has a show called Louder with Crowder, who had something very terrible happen to him at the end of last year. The Daily Wire came to him with a $50 million term sheet. He was offered $50 million. I know, horrible, terrible. He was so upset by this that he then decided to do a video in which he calls out essentially all of the Daily Wire hosts, myself included, for accepting slave-like contracts. These were the very heavy implications of that video that his followers needed to stop Big Con, talking about how we are all existing and we're kowtowing. And of course, we responded forcefully to this because it's simply not true. The idea that I'm somehow in bed with big tech or that I'm dishonest in what I do simply because we didn't accept, I guess, his counter offer to the $50 million contract is pointedly ridiculous. Now, why are we talking about him again? Well, why
are you all talking about a jacket? Seriously, what? Like, this is fashion. Okay, can we just chill out a little bit?
In closing back in January, I essentially said that we were no longer going to talk about Steven Crowder, and I instead offered that people should pray for him because obviously when a man does something like that, he is broken. You don't do something like that to your friends unless there is something going on in your personal life. Well, Steven Crowder announced this morning that he is...
By the way, it was... Okay, everyone knows about the Daily Wire drama, right? Because I covered it and talked about it at the time. But like... It was insane. It was insane what he did. He was so wrong in that whole discussion and debate. It was fucking wild. And then he dropped this recording that he discreetly made of his supposed friend, like to try and make him look bad.
Going through a divorce, and I want to show you bits of that video. Take a listen.
But needed to take a moment here to address some issues out there that are circulating. It's never fun. But, well, I guess let me be clear here. I have been living with a proverbial boot on my neck for going on years now. Since 2021, I've been living through what has increasingly been a horrendous divorce. Now, let me say on the outset, to be clear, there is no infidelity, any kind of physical abuse at all on either side. And no, this was not my choice.
Okay, so in the open, you get it. Steven Crowder is a victim. Once again, he's always a martyr for his belief. He's always a victim. And this time, it's the proverbial boot on the neck. He's literally George Floyd. So the idea here is you need to feel really bad for Steven Crowder right away because he's got a...
She's saying it how it is, isn't she? Fuck me. Jesus Christ, he's going in so hard. But she's right. She is right in principle what she's saying. I don't know if the boot was a George Floyd thing, but like she's correct. He is doing the victim Andy thing. I am fully on board the Candace train at this point. Let's see what happens.
The boot on his neck. Let's see what else he said.
So if you're familiar with the idea of extortion, then you know the feeling well. Now, some of these
welcome to Chud Nation
threats were so thinly veiled that I'm frankly surprised you didn't all guess immediately.
Steven has a lot going on, I guess is the best way to say it. He has a lot going on, and that should be clear because people...
Yeah, no, that is... It's funny, the woe is me bullshit while screaming at an 8-month pregnant woman to go get you steaks and wood pellets. Yeah. It's true.
Don't do stuff like this if
yes,
there's not a lot going on in their lives. I would like to implore my audience and everybody that isn't paying attention to the situation, not to condemn him, but to pray for him. Sometimes people need a prayer. Sometimes people need a scripture. You know, Stephen purports to be a Christian. I am unsure at this moment if it is my place to say more than that. You know, maybe if I feel in further defense, some things should be said, or maybe if I feel that the public has a right to understand certain circumstances.
Well, my children have a right to privacy. Now, some other issues have been, or I should say...
I mean, that's like the worst thing she said. But I don't know, I just don't see how you're going to characterize that as like some form of extortion. Like, you know... Extortion is when you hold something over someone in order to solicit money from them, right? Or some sort of remuneration. Or is that blackmail? Fuck me, there's all these different terms, isn't there? Yeah, the practice of obtaining something, especially money, through force or threats. Oh, okay, your blackmail is holding, but that's using threats. Okay. Yeah, no, there's no way. He's fucking reaching massively. He's got to be careful with that fucking chest thing. Don't reach too fucking hard, Stephen. Jesus.
Inferences have been more pernicious behind the scenes with demands and threats to use this information that...
Wait, I want to interrupt. Is setting the stage for a conversation and using specific words and phrases while eyes figures the camera. Listen... Okay, I've seen you with your little Stephen Crowder defense situation, okay? I don't know, this camera thing, I'm skeptical about. I don't know if I'm skeptical about that, okay? I don't know. He knows the Ring camera is there as well, right? She's not discreetly installed it, has she?
They believe would be so publicly embarrassing to me and my wife at a difficult time that it could be used, knowingly putting my children in harm's way. So... to those self-styled Christians, conservatives, and allies, well, not in my book. Now, if you find yourself, I don't want to get into details, so this is going to likely be the only time I have to address this or want to address this. If you're asking yourself, hey, did X person or did Y person...
Where's his gun holster? He's had to sell it. His wife's taken 50% of his gun holsters. Terrible business.
Person know? The answer is likely yes.
So much that I want to say here. First and foremost, if you're a person that watches his show, how do you not see that he is so obviously acting and that he is a very bad actor?
Yes.
Do you feel bad for him?
Yes, Candace. Tell it like it is.
If you're familiar with the idea of extortion,
yes.
Well, if you are familiar with the idea of extortion, you should realize that video that he just showed of me wasn't that.
No,
nobody
true.
threatened him. Nobody made demands behind closed doors. His insinuation that I knew about his divorce before he decided to attack the Daily Wire is a pointed lie. Let me tell you what actually went on behind the scenes. Stephen Crowder on election night was our friend. He was on the backstage with all of us, laughing, having a great time. He even sent me a retrospectively very flirty message thereafter on Instagram about how nice I looked on election night, even though I...
Ooh. Ooh. So didn't you get divorced? No, I've never been married, so I've never been divorced.
I didn't respond to it. Thereafter, obviously, he attacked the Daily Wire. He decided to
also, even if I had got divorced, where's the hypocrisy in me criticizing like what Stephen Crowder's doing?
His friend, Jeremy Boring, and to release the recording out of context to make it seem like Jeremy Boring knows that he's employing all of us like we're slaves, right?
Guys, if you've ever broken up with anyone, you cannot criticize Stephen Crowder's divorce, I'm afraid. Okay, sorry to tell you.
Stephen Crowder did. We had a right to respond forcefully to all of his claims. We all did that on our different platforms. And then I said to myself, just sitting there one day, why is he doing this? It's a very simple question and an obvious question that any person would ask. This is not normal behavior. It's very erratic to go from being friends with somebody, being with them on election night, laughing, having a great time, to suddenly wanting to ruin their entire company and launching Stop Big Con. It's bizarre behavior.
Yes.
I turned to my husband and I said, where's his wife in all of this? Isn't she so supposedly a Christian? I'm just thinking about the way that I talk about everything in my life with my husband. Every night I'm talking to him about what's going on at work. I thought to myself, where is Hillary Crowder in all of this? How did she not tell him not to do something this vicious and this disgusting? And then I said to my husband, I bet They're not even together. I logged on to Instagram and I found Hillary Crowder's Instagram account and I looked to see, and it turned out that she didn't follow Steven Crowder and that Steven Crowder didn't follow her.
Oh my God. She did like the woman thing that they do when they look at Instagram. Fuck me. Candace Owens is going absolutely insano mode right now. I didn't expect it to be like this. I went and looked at their Instagram. I didn't even follow each other. Crazy.
He didn't follow anybody in her family, and she wasn't following anybody in his family. That was my aha moment. Clearly, there was some sort of a separation. Now, this might sound like crazy CIA stuff, woman stuff. It's exactly what happened. I then spoke to Jeremy at the Daily Wire, and I said, do you think that him and his wife are potentially separated? And he said, no. Obviously, it's his friend. He would have known whether or not they were separated, except he didn't. He actually had no idea if they were separated either. Finally, we decided in conclusion, Jeremy advised, that we just stay out of it, that this is actually not our business, but at least it actually felt good to learn that he was going through something privately because it assigned some reason for something that he did that was so horrific and so irrational to his friends. And finally, we said, okay, this is a broken man. This is what I was thinking. This is a broken man who is on some sort of a spiral. It is likely his divorce that led to this moment. He's acting erratic. He's acting panicked. And this at least gives us some sort of an excuse for why he behaved this way.
By the way, after this, Candace Owens is coming back with some more heat because she responded to that clip. Thank you for the sub. I can't wait to watch that. She is going all in. I've never seen anything like this before.
That's it. That's the big scary story. I then went onto my platform and I said, pray for Steven Crowder, honestly, because that's what he needs. He needs a prayer. And apparently, nobody's answering those prayers right now because he's still acting erratic. He's now upping the ante and suggesting that I extorted him. I will not take that lightly, okay? I am not Hillary Crowder. I am not anybody in his family. I am not going to take somebody going onto his platform and alleging that I either harassed, threatened, or did anything that would put his children at risk. That is very serious stuff that he is saying. And so what I did this morning after this clip was sent to me is I contacted a defamation lawyer, and I am sending Steven Crowder a cease and desist. And I'm going to demand a full-throated retraction to the idea that Candace Owens threatened him or extorted him. And not that I simply did a little math. 1 + 1 = 2. A crazy man doing these sorts of things to his friends obviously means that something is going on personally. Honestly, this time, I'm not even going to suggest that anybody should pray for him. I am so deeply troubled by the idea that he is trying to insert me into this narrative pertaining to his divorce. I'm frankly angry about this. So I'm going to hope that he does the right thing, okay? That he does another one of his live feeds on the exact same platform and via the exact same medium and offers me an apology and takes back every single word that he says. And
listen, I know I've got a couple of Steven Crowder fans watching, okay? I'm bound to. Surely you are not on board with the idea that Candace Owens was extorting him. That is victim Andy shit. You must admit. Come on now.
And, by the way, if you think that that's bad, here's how he decided to end this clip pertaining to his divorce.
It's pretty simple. I loved a woman so much that I married her. A woman who, despite all of this, I still love as the mother of my children. And she wanted something else for her life. That's not my choice. She simply wanted out, and the law says that that's how it works. Now, of course, look, I get it. There are multiple sides to every story, but one thing that is undeniable in this case is that it's no one's fault but my own in that I picked wrong.
I picked wrong.
He's watched his content for years. Has his content gotten worse? If you've been watching his content for years, do you think his content has gotten worse over time? I just feel like he had a golden era, like a few years ago. It's just been a downward trend since then.
Wow. How kind, how loving. You really must have loved this woman, Steven Crowder. Again, I don't know who's buying your act anymore. I certainly haven't bought it from the very beginning. It's very obvious to me exactly what you are. You come across to me as a very dishonest individual. It seems to me, Steven, that you really, for whatever reason, want to insert me into this narrative. Like there is just something about me that you are hyper-focused on. And so I want to help you a bit. And really, I want to help your wife because you essentially just used your platform. Millions of people have access to your platform. She doesn't have the same, to insult her. You picked the wrong woman, okay? So here's what I would like to do. I would like to
your
invite
truth, Queen.
Hillary Crowder onto my platform.
Oh!
Because I have one, and because her ex-husband apparently just used his to insult her, to say that he picked the wrong woman. I find that to be really despicable. So Hillary Crowder, if you are watching, you are more than welcome to come on my show and to talk about what's actually going on. Because as I said, I don't trust a single word that comes out of Stephen's mouth. All right, speaking of Hillary Crowder and mothers
I tell you
everywhere.
what. This is what happens when a black woman cooks, okay? I'm telling you. It's a fucking storm every time. It's a storm every time, all right? Jesus. That is wild. I've got to be honest with you, though. Okay, I think that Yasha Ali guy, whatever his name is, I think he's done a pretty good job of giving that woman a platform anyway. But listen, I'll be honest with you, as much as I want to see the Candace Owens Hillary Crowder interview, that would be based. God, imagine if she started coming on and shitting on him. That'd be insane. Oh, please, think of the content. Yeah, I mean, like I say, yeah, his audience is, we've got an uphill battle. First of all, we got to get over the fact it's a woman. Second, well, you know what the second thing is. Yeah, we're going to do a Jerry Springer segment next. His wife joins Daily Wire. Oh, imagine if she came on here, loads of weird kinks. Oh, man. Okay, listen, let's just, come on. Come on now. Honestly, do you think since this podcast, his content has been going on a downwards trend? He was more honest and genuine as an independent creator, especially in interviews and hosted shows, not by him. Oh, you mean when he worked for The Blaze? It was a problem, maybe. Snowball Crowder. Okay. Okay. So listen, I've got to be honest with you. I wasn't sure whether I was going to watch this or not because I thought, you know, having a black woman in front of me for this long would just unlock extreme misogynoir that I wouldn't be able to control. But I really enjoyed that. So we're going to have a little bit more heat. We're going to have a little bit more heat. All right. So she then has done another segment.
So a bit of breaking news that just happened. And
it's called Stephen Crowder is a Monster. Change my mind. Jesus Christ.
Before we get to it, I just want to back up and tell you why we are discussing this breaking news, because it's occurred to me that there are some people out there who believe that to be a conservative, what it means is that we become tribal and we defend other conservatives even when they do things that are wrong. That we don't discuss things that are horrible on our own side because we need to just make sure that we score wins in other ways.
Thanks for the
sub. That means the exact opposite of why I have this platform. I am not tribal. I want to expose things when they are bad on the left, and I will also expose things when they are bad on the right. Obviously, I have been interested in the Stephen Crowder saga pertaining to his divorce because he literally inserted me into his divorce a couple of days ago. And his wife and family are now speaking out regarding that video in which he told people publicly that his wife was leaving him. You remember this. He chose wrong. And he essentially made it sound as if he did not want his marriage to end, but his wife simply wanted to leave. Well, she has responded by giving video, and I want to prep you. I want you to know this is horrific video. It is very difficult to watch. It's especially difficult to watch because in this footage, she is 8 months pregnant.
Oh, she's doing it as well.
And the video essentially reveals just how emotionally abusive he has been, and she is alleging that he has been emotionally abusive to her, and this video all but confirms it. So let's first get to...
Just play the clip, okay? Listen, I really hate this over again. Just play the fucking clip.
To the footage, I'm just going to allow
it
you
is
to
pretty
watch
bad, yeah, sure, I agree. But
I drew a boundary. I drew a boundary. No, you just did it. I drew a boundary in abusive and cruel. You were not taking the car. Because if you refuse to do wifely things, then I will go pick up the groceries.
There is no groceries. I'd be happy.
Steaks, wood pellets, my grill. I know it's an unreasonable request. But I'll go do it. How about you first? Hillary, how do you respect the man? Yes. How do you, man?
I commented on. It's fine. I don't mind commentary. I mean, that's fine. What I'm saying is, before playing, it's like if I was like saying to you, "I'm going to show you a clip now," It is disgraceful and disgusting. It's one of the most horrific things I've ever watched in my entire life. And you're going to be appalled and outraged at it. Like, it is setting your emotional state to a point where you're going to be sat there going, oh, what the fuck is this going to be? And that's going to affect your interpretation of it. You know, it's like priming the audience. Yeah. I think commentary and pointing things out in a, you know, it's fine. I don't mind that so much because you're showing the content and commentating on it. But I think you're kind of poisoning the well a bit if you over egg the pudding before you even play anything.
How the man receive love from that? No. How did the man no, you're not taking the car.
Stephen,
You're not taking the car.
Stephen,
I blame the
You are
pain.
and I will ask.
When does the horrible stuff start? Here we
Would
go.
you like me to ask?
Oh, that's right.
It's not a threat, Stephen.
Get an Uber.
Okay, Stephen, I can't.
Feeling some constraints?
Stephen.
Like, I can't
Stephen.
go. Listen to me. Listen to me. You want to walk out right now? Listen to me. I can't go to the gym. I can't go to my parents. I can't call my friends. I can't be home. You're going to take the car and leave me here. Hillary, just think of how boxed in you've made me.
What do you need me to pick up? I'll get it. I'll be back when I'm back.
No, that doesn't work either. You'll be back when you're back. That doesn't work either. Do you understand the difference between my life being set to the second and you going, I'll be back when I'm back?
Yeah, listen, I've got to be honest with you here, right? To me, looking after the dog is a man's job, isn't it? Right? Surely. But yeah, I agree. It's really telling the way these conservatives, red pillars, trash their wives and pretend it's trad.
Stephen.
The only way out of this is discipline and respect. It's the only way out of it, or we're at an impasse.
We are at an impasse.
Good. Because you can't have any discipline or respect.
Stephen.
Yeah. There you go. You throw your hand, you give up so easily.
I don't give up, Stephen.
Hillary,
Stephen?
you give up so easily. I just said the only way out of this is discipline and respect. You said, then we're at an impasse.
Stephen, no, we are at an impasse.
I guess we're watching it again.
I love you, but Stephen, your abuse is sick. Your abuse
Watch it.
is sick.
Watch it. Watch it.
I'm gonna let go. I'll get what you need me to get. And I need some space. We need to just stop engaging for a little bit.
Welcome
Hey,
to Chud Nation.
Maui wee. Thanks for the sub.
I love you very much.
I don't love you. That's the big problem.
Me and Kazeen, thanks for the sub.
And the fact is, when I go, look, I need you to do A, B, C, and D, you just be disciplined about it, you go, no. But I love you more than life itself. Okay. Put on some gloves. No. But I love you more than life itself. That's not fair. That's not fair, and it's disingenuous. Hillary, you're right, we're at an impasse. Become someone, listen to me, day in and day out, worthy of a wife. No, not as a wife. I didn't say as a wife. I said as a wife. Hillary, come on now.
I'm not gonna engage. I'm not gonna engage anymore. I'm gonna go. I'll get text me what you need. I'll get.
Also, I know it's like he's kind of sat there with a cigar and stuff like that, right? But imagine if imagine the perception if he was sat there with a video game controller in his hand or something like that. Do you know what I mean? Imagine if he was just sat there gaming with his headset on and was saying this. The perception would be totally different. But it's the same sort of thing. It's like leisure time, right? Like it seemed, I mean, obviously, again, this is a very short clip, so I don't want to speak too much on it. But like he's obviously having some leisure time. And it's like, you know, so go and sort all this shit out, you know?
I love you. I'm committed to you.
Put on some gloves. Are you committed enough to do those things?
I'm not gonna.
Are you committed enough to do those things? You're not committed to anything. You're not committed to anything. You just said I love you, I'm committed to it. Walk the dogs, put on some gloves. Walk the dogs, put on some gloves. Are you committed enough to do those things? Are you committed enough to do those things? Are you committed enough to do those things?
I'm gonna just
Walk the dogs, put on some gloves. Are you committed enough to get the medication the dogs take? Don't you take that in?
So that is both heartbreaking and infuriating for me to watch. I cannot even comprehend how any man can speak to a woman like that, least of all when she is 8 months pregnant. And sadly, that isn't the worst part of that correspondence. The journalist that dropped this video is Yashar.
Like, okay, the thing is, I think that this is less egregious than the journalist because, I mean, you know, it's pretty clear that Candace Owens is not a Steven Crowder fan. And I think that, you know, that's pretty clear from the way she's spoken about it and the very public feud that they've had, you know. But yeah, I mean, obviously it's a little bit too rich for my blood.
Ali, he dropped this as well as a Substack entry accompanying it. On the Substack article, he wrote, moments later, off camera, Steven Crowder, by his own admission, would lose control and scream at his pregnant wife in a threatening tone, quote, "I will f you up," end quote, which led his wife to flee their home. She then...
So people keep saying this and they're saying, oh, no, I'm sure I heard the fuck you up thing somewhere. What people have heard is people reading it. I do not believe at this stage that there is any footage or audio that's been released that's publicly available where there's an audio recording of Steven Crowder saying, I will fuck you up. This, I believe, is something that's been attested to in some respect that Yasha Ali is accounting for. That's all we've got.
Sent a statement, which I want to be very clear. This statement I knew was going to come out. I didn't know any of this information. I had no idea there was a video or there was any evidence. I did know that their family was thinking about issuing a statement, and Hillary Crowder did issue a statement. And I'm going to read you that statement in its entirety because it's important. I think it reveals a lot of the lies that Steven has been telling publicly to his audiences. It reads, Hillary is currently living alone in Dallas apart from her family and support system in Michigan and is focused on taking care of her young children. She is not prepared adequately for the actions that caused the divorce of children. I would first like to go back to that portion where she says Steven left their home to pursue elective surgery, because I know exactly what surgery she's referring to, because during my first backstage here at Daily Wire, we actually prayed for Steven and this surgery. So before I show you a clip from us.
Yeah, but then what? You're saying that Steven Crowder admitted to this. Where? In what format? Where can I see that? Because that's, again, a claim I've seen in the article that isn't backed up by evidence there. So it seems like we're doing the thing where everything just goes back. Well, the article said it, the article said it, the article said it. So I just think that, I'm happy to accept it, but I just would like to see some evidence, because that's a pretty, some of these claims are pretty massive, and it just seems crazy to me that we've got this clip, which is obviously shows what it shows, make your own mind up of either way of it, but then we don't have anything else to back it up, and then it's like, oh, people are saying maybe it's legal reason. I don't know. I'm just a bit skeptical, and I just want to see a bit more information before accepting certain things.
On backstage. Here is Steven describing that surgery, and it certainly doesn't sound like it's elective. Take a listen.
I explained to you a little bit what it is. A lot of people say, why are you smoking? My heart is actually great, but my heart doesn't work great. And the reason my heart doesn't work great is, long story short, because of a connective tissue disorder I have, and my chest is caving in on my heart. So I've got I'm at a little more than half of the blood flow that you guys have, ventricular output.
So, okay. We just have to assume that Steven was totally lying here then, in order to accept this elective thing. That's the problem I've got, is like, sure, maybe Steven was over-egging some aspects of it, but the idea that he is just totally lying about this is kind of wild to me. And that, again, is a big claim that I need to see some evidence for, beyond just, oh, well, he's probably lying here, isn't he?
My heart. So it's a mechanical fix. And I don't know, maybe I'll feel like Lance Armstrong, like I'm on EPO after this, because I don't know what it's like to go through life with full blood flow. To me, I'm looking forward to it, not looking forward to the pain. Lance Armstrong, by the way, with the 3 balls, not the one. So yeah, it's overall a positive thing, and honestly, I've probably needed a little bit of rest. It comes in the form of having my chest cracked open.
Obviously, he had the surgery, and then his lung collapsed, and here is us praying for him, praying that he actually gets better.
Before we leave, I just have to, this one off the subject for a minute. Our pal, Steve Crowder, who makes the best fast trays
look at this.
In the country,
Truly.
is in the hospital fighting for his life, and he's really come close. He's come close to the dark edge of things.
Wait, hang on a minute. This guy, Andrew Clavin, is just fucking saying that. Wait, what? Did Stephen Crowder say that or something? It sounds like he's over-egging it now as well. God, everyone's over-egging left, right, and centre.
And I just want to say that crazy as he is, we love him, and we're thinking about him. That we hope he makes it back.
You're a better man than I am.
Well, that's true.
I was actually just looking forward to the show being over so that I could text him and say, hope you don't make it, pal.
Actually, this is a real story.
I got to be honest with you, right? What this does show is what a fucking piece of shit Stephen Crowder was to try and rat the Daily Wire like he did. When clearly they're all very fond of him. Do you know what I mean? It just shows what a little rat fuck Steven Crowder was with the Daily Wire stuff. That's all it really shows to me. Beyond that, it's like I don't know about this surgery and what to make of it. But you know, the idea that he was just lying about the surgery and it was just cosmetic seems crazy to me, and it's a big claim that we need some evidence for.
Last night I had to go for a drive because it's a long story, but I had to burn down gas to take my car into the shop. And so I was going to smoke a cigar and, you know, I was going to say my nightly prayers. I thought, oh, you know, I should probably pray for Crowder, you know, because he's in this. I thought, oh, well, you know what's great? I'm going to light up one of the cigars that Crowder sent me.
Yeah.
And Crowder, this guy who's a complete maniac, he sent me these beautiful cigars. And I was like, oh, pal, I'm going to send you some cigars right away from my humidor. Haven't sent him a single thing, you know, but that guy, he, you know, really a generous fellow. And doesn't get enough credit.
I actually did text him and say that we were praying for him at great risk to our souls.
Okay, this cigar thing is conservative cope. Okay, they do it because it's like a traditionally, it's basically what retards think being masculine is about, is you sit round and smoke cigars and drink whatever it is you're drinking. I don't know, man. I think it's cope. I think it's bullshit. I don't think that they truly, like, could you imagine them doing it with the cameras off? There's no way, is there? Yeah, it's like whiskey in it on the rocks, smoking a cigar. It's so cringe.
And if he dies, I personally will kill him. Right?
And yet, according to his wife, this was an elective surgery, really a cosmetic surgery, because Stephen didn't like the way that his chest looked because he had a sunken chest. And it was not something that was actually required to save his life. And yet we see that same pattern of behavior.
Wait, did Candace Owens get that from the fucking Surfs tweet? Where are we getting this from, that it was purely cosmetic? Where is that coming from? That would suggest that Steven Crowder was just completely lying about any of the medical stuff. All the stuff that he had with his doctor was bullshit. I believe, aren't there videos of him like engaging and talking to a doctor? Oh, she said the wife said it. But yeah, you can't just take the wife's word for it because she's one part of the divorce. She's got a vested interest.
Stephen garnering a ton of affection and prayers from his followers purporting to be the victim, when in fact the facts don't line up with his narrative. The second portion that I'd like to point to is where it says Hillary was not aware that Stephen hired a divorce attorney. This stands in stark contrast to what he told his followers when he said how hard divorce was and how difficult and horrific it had been and how he really didn't want it, and just, you know, Texas is a no-fault divorce state. What is the truth here? I don't know. Obviously, right now we have his wife.
It's funny, just he had a weak sunken chest and was shaved. Okay. That is kind of funny to say, isn't it? But nonetheless, come on now.
Word versus Stephen's word, but given my personal experience with Stephen, I am very much inclined to believe his wife. Now, I'd like to get in some other portions of this article.
Okay, that's just retarded. That's just straight retarded. I'm just going to take the side of one party in a divorce proceedings.
Steven Crowder has been a trans woman all along. Don't you know all women are terminal liars, Chud?
Thank you for the bits. Nah, I don't know. Listen, I don't think, look, Candace Owens, who is biased, is referring to an article which is also biased, which is speaking to the wife who's biased. Like, there's no effort to go, okay, well, let's just take a step back here. I mean, I don't know. Candace Owens hates Steven Crowder, so whatever, I guess. But fuck me, this is insane, really.
Which I think are really important. The writer has a bunch of audio files and text messages that were sent to him that he was able to review. He writes, "In audio files and text messages that I reviewed, Steven Crowder admits to some of his faults, which include a volcanic temper, repeatedly and at times regretfully. But according to sources that I spoke to who are familiar with their relationship, Crowder's admissions often came after a sustained period of mental and emotional abuse, and he didn't seem to be able to control his impulses." That, again, is something that I have seen personally. Very bizarre, but he would insert me into a divorce announcement. And
I mean, yeah, obviously this is all dripping and having an axe to grind as well. But wait, hang on a sec. I'm just thinking that, like, he can't control his impulses. That sounds a bit bad, doesn't it?
and purport that I somehow extorted him. It's very bizarre in the way that he attacked
That
the
is
Daily
true. I
Wire.
agree with that.
And there just seem to be a lot of signs that he is not able to control his emotions. And so the question that I will ask is, how many people are going to allege abuse from Steven Crowder before we listen, before we stop saying he's one of us because he says things that he agrees with?
Jesus.
We purport that we are the party of family values. How can you look at that video and defend him in any way? How can you look at that video and not roundly condemn this and say this is not something that actually represents the things that we believe? The writer goes on to say, like so many things in his life in recent years, Crowder's temper and paranoia led him to destroy his relationships.
This is actually very unusual for the right. It's quite rare. I mean, this is like basically gatekeeping tier shit, right? Rightly or wrongly, whatever. I don't really care in any case because it's fucking whatever. It makes no odds to me whether Steven Crowder is part of the right or not. But I'm just saying, like, you know, it's unusual that a conservative would make these kind of hard lines. Normally, conservatives are just like, yeah, you've done a little bit of raping. Well, you know, who hasn't? What's your problem? It is you. Yes, I agree. That's my point. It is usually lefties that set these hard lines and standards out in the sand, you know, draw lines in the sand. But this time it's like, I mean, obviously Candace Owens is going to be motivated by hatred for Steven Crowder, but it's pretty crazy to hear a righty be so hardcore of like, you do not represent the family values kind of situation and gatekeeping like this.
With Mr. Shapiro, Boring, and others at the Daily Wire when he posted a video on his channel suggesting that the Daily Wire, without naming the company, was attempting to align itself with big tech by mentioning in their initial offer to him that if he was demonetized on social media platforms, that it would reduce his overall compensation. Well, again, going back to the pattern, it's not just the Daily Wire. It's David Landau. It's Sven the Computer. It's Jared Monroe, formerly known as Not Gay Jared, people that are locked into NDAs and are not allowed to.
Mr. Girl thinks it's abusive. Any thoughts on that? I mean, when it comes to abusing women, Max has actually got a lot of expertise. So I think we should probably listen to what he's saying on it.
Speak about the abuse that they endured by Steven Crowder. It's Owen Benjamin. It's now his wife.
The expert.
Do you believe that all of these various different parties, the majority of them who have never spoken to each other, I have never spoken to Sven the Computer, I've never spoken to David Landau, I've never spoken to Hillary Crowder, I've never spoken to Owen Benjamin. Do you believe that all of these people, as is the paranoid narrative that Steven Crowder is presenting, are working maybe in collusion with big tech to try to destroy him? Or do you believe it's plausible that Steven Crowder is just a monster? I personally believe that he is a monster. And that is, by the way,
Jesus
Steven, if you're watching,
Christ.
I'm not trying to extort you. I am just simply telling the truth. There was a lot of things.
I've got to be honest with you. I mean, a monster's a bit. I mean, he sounds like a fucking absolute fucking asshole to work for, and a nightmare to be married to, and engages in sometimes emotional abuse or something like that. Maybe monster's a bit much, isn't it? Fuck me. She really doesn't like Steven Crowder.
Things that are going on, and I am glad that his wife found the strength to speak out. And I'm calling upon everybody to roundly condemn this, to reject this firmly, not to somehow come up with an excuse and say, oh, well, it's a divorce, so we shouldn't talk about it. We should mind our own business. No, the way that we represent ourselves privately and publicly should be the same.
Wait, hang on a minute. Whoa. Verdant_1138. Reading teleprompter written by Ben Shapiro. What's that? What does that mean? What do you mean by that? What do you mean by that, eh?
The same. If you purport to care about family values, again, then you should care about this situation and you should condemn it. Yashar Ali also added in this article, in reviewing documentary evidence related to their marriage, Steven Crowder appears to be obsessed with the idea that his wife is only interested in him for money. Hillary Crowder started dating him well before he became famous and wealthy. He was making less than $100,000 a year when they got married. Again, the Crowder narrative never seems to line up with the reality. And on that note, for those of you that are asking for an update, yes, I did send a cease and desist to him regarding his comments that I somehow extorted him. I sent the cease and desist. I heard back from his lawyer. And essentially what I get from this is that his lawyer is saying that this was just his opinion and it was just Steven Crowder's feelings. And even though it wasn't reality, too bad, so sad. Here's exactly what that legal letter back to me said. I'm going to read you a couple of quotations. It says, the simple fact is that Ms. Owens, as shown in the clip, made thinly veiled threats directed at Mr. Crowder that she would release the alleged dirt she had on him if he kept making statements about the Daily Wire. Mr. Crowder's opinions fall short of any defamation. At most, he has merely opined comparatively the feeling of certain misconduct to his own present state of being. Then the subsequent use of the word threats is not in and of itself an accusation of crime, even within the larger context in which it was used. The most reasonable implication.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, I mean, I think, I don't, again, you know, Candace Owens' statements were not explicit enough. Were Stephen Crowder's statements explicit enough from a legal perspective? I think that, like, from an ethical or moral perspective, I would say that Stephen Crowder was well out of line to say the things that he said. I mean, I don't obviously know enough about it from the legal perspective. It would be interesting if this went further to see what happened. Like, would they be considered, what would be defamatory, I guess? But yeah.
Welcome.
Could be,
Chud Nation.
hey, Icarus Bar, thank you for the sub. It could be that Stephen is left just enough room that from a legal perspective he's okay. But yeah, kind of crazy that they doubled down on the threat thing.
Is not an accusation of crime, but that threats have occurred that fall short of being a crime. Again, at most, they are simply reminiscent in Mr. Crowder's personal opinion of the specifically referenced type of misconduct. In short, these are his feelings, they are not facts, and his opinions are protected. And to make it clear for those of you that thought there was something going on in the background or that someone had secretly threatened him, his lawyer is alleging that's not the case. He was simply referring to the exact clip that he showed you of me. Nothing else happened. He just wanted you guys to think that he was under duress in some other capacity. In short, as I have said, I believe Stephen Crowder is an absolute monster, and I encourage all of the other people that he has victimized to find their strength to speak out now. By the way, his lawyer offered to me that we could both agree to a ceasefire if I agreed that I would never speak about Stephen Crowder again.
Ooh.
And to him, I would publicly like to say, your client doesn't have that kind of money to keep Candace Owens from speaking out about things that I find to be absolutely despicable. And that's all I'm going to say about that. All right, guys, if you liked this video, then please like.
That is wild. Fuck, Candace is not fucking around. Honestly, I didn't expect her to go that hard. But she did. Yeah, I mean, listen, overall, I think, yeah, I'm more on Candace's side in her, you know, obviously, aside from the article shit and the clip stuff, which I said, I think that, I think she's right on the clip thing. Stephen's been a little baby complaining about extortion or like alluding to it. Yeah, she used to be like a progressive, yeah, back in the day. And she, I don't know about this doxing side, but I know she was like pro cancel culture. As soon as Candace named him a monster, we're entering Hitler territory. Well, maybe that's a good thing. Yeah, honestly, I mean, I think that's probably where my coverage of this is going to come to an end. But there's loads, like there are like hard lines being drawn about this right now. And you got people that are like, it's wild. I'm sure the Court Ring's released another fucking 5 videos about it. I think he's a bit of a dick rider for Stephen Crowder, but he can be a bit of a, you know, oh, don't want to upset anyone too much. The rightoids, yes, Will. Listen, that's the first time I've ever agreed with you in a long time. Anyway, what are you doing, you little fucking rat? Haven't you got an IRL stream to fucking broadcast to 2 people? Will the Rat, back again, sniffing some scraps of clout. Conservative Civil War. But yeah, there's like loads of stuff. Actually, that's a good point. We need to strip away his VIP because he's, to me, no longer a VIP. He is a failing content creator. So let's just deal with that now, shall we? Winless channel down at the bottom. VIP removed. There we go. Get fucked. Get stripped.